This video will explain how to blur a certain area in Descript. So not the whole screen, but an individual area. The first thing you have to do is to actually finish editing your whole video. So do all of your initial edits and make sure the video is ready to export except the bits you need to blur. And once that's done, we will continue the blur setup. But if you find an area you need to blur or come back to blur, what you can do is you can find that area. So to do that, you can use this timeline by clicking on Show Timeline and then dragging your cursor over until you find the area. And then just go a little bit before and click on the slash key on your keyboard. And that will make it a separate scene. And then you can also just highlight by selecting and then clicking this highlight button. And then later on, you can scroll back and see all the highlighted areas. It's very important that you make this cut as well, because otherwise your whole video will be blurred in that area. So make the cut from where the blur starts, and then we're going to find where we want the blur to end. So again, use the timeline and your cursor and drag it to just a second after you want the blur to end. And again, click on the slash, and you can highlight at the end of the clip as well if you are mid-edit. So like this, I can see where it's going to start and where it's going to end. And you can highlight different colors if you want to color code it so you know which is start and end. So once you've finished all of that, what we'll do is we will open our timeline again, click the Show Timeline button, and then right click the tracks down here and click on Detach Audio. Then do that again, right click, and this time select Edit Sequence. This should open up the track editor. What we're going to do here is we're going to rename the video track, this top one, as No Blur, and then click on this Add Media at the top, and you should have an option here under Sequences. Select that one, and it should be the exact same duration as your previous one. So if we click on Add New Track, and then click on the top track, that is 3 minutes 58 seconds, and then the bottom one should be the exact same. If they're not the same, export your whole project and then import the exported one, but they should be the same. Now we're going to click on the bottom track here and click on this audio icon to mute the clip. Call this one Blur and select Done. Now click on any of this preview area above or below your video, and that will open up this sidebar. Turn the blur section on by clicking the little eye, and then click on it again, and you can see there's a dashed line. Right click on that line and select Fill Canvas. Now go back, click on the blur, and under Effects, select the blur effect, and then set that to be about 30 or 40. That's how blurry the blur effect will be. Now go back again to the preview area and drag the blur on top. Now to only blur a specific area, what we'll do is we will find the start of our clip. So we can do that by going back to our scene editor here and selecting the start, and then double click once you see the blur, and you can now crop the area. So if I was to just crop out that and then select Done, and now when we watch our video, you can see that none of this is blurred in that area. And then once it goes over and crosses that line, it then blurs the area, and it stays blurred until the end of that clip that we set. So at the end of this clip here, it will now unblur that area. And you can just repeat these steps once you find, if you find another area you want to blur, I can show you how to do that as well. So I've made another spot here that I'm going to do a blur. And because we've already added our blur effect, all we have to do now is go to the start of that clip over here. And we did the clip by doing 2 slashes again. So the start is 1 slash and then the end is another. And at the start, we will click on the blur option and again go position and fill canvas, and then click on the effects and blur, and you can adjust the radius again. Now double click and crop to the new area and select Done. So this will now not be blurred. Created. Now what we're going to do is then it goes blurred there, and then at the end of that scene, it goes back to no blur. Hope this video helped you. Let me know if you have any questions.